Welcome back. We are in full nebulous week. The week between Christmas and New Year's. Do things happen? It's hard for me to say. I gotta fly tomorrow. Not stressed at all, by the way. We got football tonight. We got a lot of football to talk about. I kind of miss when we can talk about other sports. What's going on? It's like only football. NBA's just canceling games left and right. Who knows who's playing, who's not. It's hard to touch on these days. Maybe we'll do it Wednesday. I don't know. Finally, we have an NFL schedule that allows us to go back to normal instead of games being played every single day of the week. The NHL is canceling every game, apparently. College basketball, I don't even know what's happening. They were forfeiting games. Now they're not forfeiting games. Interesting. And, you know, a lot of nonsense. A lot of nonsense. But a couple good things. One, if you like podcasts, the Link podcast, at the Link_podcast, just finished my last of a bunch of holiday episodes. So get those ones in while you can. They're very fun. Another Christmas note. Hope you guys enjoyed, blah, 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 etc. I did a Christmas Day parlay in the NBA. I put it on my Twitter, at Mike Mush Sports. Check that out if you haven't. You can get all the stuff while I'm not live. And here's the ultimate proof that I am a mush. And why don't we go see it? Why don't we go see what happened? I'm gonna go in early this time. Let's dive right in. Let's go here. Let's look at it happen in real time, right? A lot of tweets. A lot of tweets. Big Cat from Barstool, I'm a fan. He tweeted about this parlay of NBA unders on Christmas Day being dominant. Now, he tweets a lot too, so we'll have to scroll back and find it. Let's see. Let's see. We're going to get there. Hard to tell which days are which. As I said, it's a nebulous. Man, he tweets more than me. Good for him. But he had every single under in all of the NBA games, and it had some pretty good numbers for how often it has hit. Every year, I bet the unders almost every year it has worked. Point of Christmas unders is not to watch the first quarter. If you can't take a few made buckets, this life isn't for you. Boy, is that true. Yeah, he made announcements. He loves them. Christmas Day unders, first 3 games specifically. Been a theory of mine for a decade plus now. The only time betting on the under is allowed. Nothing is guaranteed, but it's hit at like 75% since forever. He had stats on here. I think it was like 13 years since it has gone poorly. And I took them all. I tweeted it. Here we go. Round robin, 5 games, broken in 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5. Christmas miracle. We're coming. They don't say under the Christmas tree for nothing. I thought that was a good pun. Next tweet. Sorry, Big Cat. Did not go well. We won the first one in the Knicks game. We lost every other one. Tough stuff. But that was just for a little bit of funsies. We did hit on football quite a bit better than we did on basketball. But if that doesn't prove that I'm the mush, boy, I just don't know what does. 13 years of data out the window. Lose 4 out of 5 immediately. Woof. Woof, woof, woof. That's not how dogs bark. All right. So let's go over the picks quickly, and then we'll dive into the games, and then we'll talk Monday Night Football on the other side of it. And then I want to talk next week, too, because the schedule's a little weird. I don't think we have a Thursday game. But we'll look at that in a bit. The Don't Break My Heart on Christmas parlay hit. You love that. Packers, Eagles, Cowboys. Simple. -111. We'll get into each individual game, but we won the Bengals. Had their money line against the Ravens. That was so easy. Thankfully, we got that one in early before the line ballooned. But it only went to 7? Why did it only go to 7? Because Josh Johnson was the quarterback, and they're playing like a 5th-string corner. And I don't understand what Vegas was doing. They were begging for a tease there, which we did add them to at some point. We added a late parlay, Bengals and Rams. That one hit pretty easily, although I was not impressed with the Rams. And then a late teaser ad, Chiefs and Cowboys. That one hit. The only thing that we did lose, which was ugly, was the teaser with the Bengals and Patriots. Patriots did not show up, and I had the Patriots money line as well. They really didn't show up. And I'm going to say this. Get ready for it. Credit to Josh Allen. He looked great. What am I supposed to do? I guess let's start there, because I got to own that L. So let's go with that. Let's go with Saturday games first, actually. Let's just cover that quickly, because the Packers, what's wrong with the Packers, right? Let's open both of these. Baker throws 4 picks, some of which was reffing. I get it, whatever. It was bad reffing. I do understand. But Rodgers throws 3 touchdowns. He's efficient. They run the ball fine, 4.5 yards per carry. Adams dominates with long catches and 2 touchdowns. They even get one from Lazard, who generally doesn't catch the ball that well. Baker throws 4 picks. Green Bay doesn't turn it over at all. And they win by 2. And the Browns could have easily won this game by just the last drive. You're moving the ball with Chubb. First of all, they ran for like 9 yards a carry. 8.8. Chubb is doing whatever he wants. And Hunt isn't there, and I like that. Not a Hunt guy. Same reason I'm not an Antonio Brown guy. Same reason I'm not a blah, 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 blah. You get it. This drive is pretty inexcusable. You get the ball with 2 minutes. I know Baker's not healthy or a real 2-minute dominant drive guy, but the Packers, people have been rumbling that their defense is a little bit beatable lately. And so they run for 4 yards, 2-minute warning. They run for 10 yards. They run for 4 yards. Incomplete on 2nd and 6. They get Baker to pick up a 3rd down. Godsend. They're on their own 43. It's a 1st down. There's 50 seconds left. Do they have timeouts? Let's see. Let's go back a little bit and find what their timeout situation is. I don't know if they had any. They must not have. Did they really use their timeouts this early? I should have taken notes on this one, but I did not because it was Christmas Day. Like, where are their timeouts? I don't even understand. Did they just not use them? Huh. Maybe they don't include that on here. In any case, you got a minute left. You're at the 50. It's 1st down. I understand wanting to move fast, but you have a minute left and you only need the field goal. You're not even trying for a touchdown because it's too risky and Baker doesn't have the arm for it right now and blah, blah, blah. So you run it the whole drive. If you're willing to run it the whole drive, you're in a no huddle. Like, you ran back-to-back plays here in 17 seconds. That's how long it takes. Let's say it takes you 20 seconds to get back to the line. You have a minute. If you run it on 1st down and pick up 5, you're at the 45. Already it's only a 62-yarder. Only a 62-yarder. I get it. But you can try. You can try for a win. And then let's say there's 40 seconds left. You can run it again with 40 seconds left. And then if you pick up another 5, we're at the 40. And by the way, he could pick up more than 5 for sure. He could pick up less, but they're running the ball well. They don't need to throw. So let's say there's 20 seconds left and they're on the 40 now if they get 2 5-yard runs. Now it's a 57-yarder. You spike and you kick. And in fact, I can't understand why you wouldn't do this. Why are you throwing 3 straight times? First of all, you wasted 50 seconds. You ran 3 plays in 9 seconds. I don't understand. And you don't want Baker throwing. He has 4 picks. Even if you like Baker, in this game, you want him throwing to try to get there? Why aren't you running the ball at least once? I don't get it. Even if I'm at the 50, I'd still rather try a 67-yarder or whatever it is. I mean, who knows? Try to pick up some yardage. This is pretty inexcusable to me. I don't know if that sounds like a hot take. Again, even if they have no timeouts, which I assume they didn't, because they're running no huddle the whole time. If you do, it's definitely inexcusable. But with no timeouts, you can still do it with a minute. 20 seconds per play, that's all it takes. And if he starts running too far, first of all, he's either going to score, or he slides, you get up there, you spike, you kick, you win. I felt like, I'm not going to say they gave the game away, but when you're this close with a drive to win it, and you have turned it over 4 times, and the other team hasn't turned it over at all, what the hell? How is this game this close? It's alarming for the Packers, although all they do is continue to win games. Same with the Ravens thing. It's like, oh, they escaped. It feels like they lost, but they didn't. So I don't know what to do with them. There's some, the whole theme of today's show is like, is anyone good, and are there cracks in the armor for every team? I mean, you have the Packers against the Vikings and Lions. They're going to end up 14-3, and they're going to get a bye probably. We'll have the standings open. Look at the playoff standings. Packers are at the top. Unless they lose to the Vikings, and even if they do, I don't know. I guess they can win in home field, but, like, this is scary. You should have been able to win this game by a lot. So, I don't know what to make of them. They're scaring me more than they should. Now, the Cardinals, I mean, Kyler just looks lost. We got to be out on them. I said to take the Colts because you can't take the Cardinals until they show me something bigger, and I didn't put them in my picks. But, first of all, when Wentz doesn't turn the ball over, they are legitimately really good. And Taylor didn't even do a lot. Like, he had a 43-yard run. And then other than that, he had 26 yards, 26 carries for 65 yards. That's really bad. Arizona did a great job stopping the run, which people thought was maybe an Achilles heel of them, that they weren't as physical. And also, the Colts had 1 million offensive linemen out in this game, so they're not protecting Wentz super well with backups. They're not running super well with Taylor. And Arizona just cannot score. I know that Connor is out of this game, but Kyler ran it for 57 on one play. 74 rushing yards. I feel like everything is just like a random bomb that they hope comes up, even if it's not open. I played Antoine Wesley in a FanDuel lineup and did pretty damn well with that one. Scored a touchdown because for some reason Arizona and Cliff Kingsbury run this offense where you can't bump up all the receivers. If Hopkins plays the X, then Wesley is coming in to play the X, and you leave Kirk as the Y and Green as the Z, or whatever it is. A lot of letters. And so they're playing Wesley a ton. They're throwing to Zach Ertz like every play, or Chase Edmonds. Everything's short. It's either a screen that's short or a bomb 40 yards down the field with nothing in between. And I just feel like Kyler doesn't have it again. Late in the season, he's just falling apart. When he was a borderline MVP, he fumbled twice. He didn't lose any of them, but when he takes hits, it's like, oh, God, is he going to be all right? And their defense is fine. I don't think they played poorly, but they didn't turn over the Colts at all. And there were no turnovers in this game, actually, which is weird. I just don't see how Arizona could only score 16 at home. And this just feels like a tailspin for them badly. And I just can't. I mean, I've seen it too much now, 2 years in a row. The hot start and the bad finish. And now you go at Dallas. They could get smoked in this game. And then they're going to have to beat the Seahawks. They're going to go 11-6. And 11-6 is going to put them. I mean, they're not even going to play at home after starting 8-0 or whatever they were, 7-0. That's rough. And if they're the 5 seed, which they will be, in all likelihood, especially if they lose to Dallas, then they're going to have to play the 7 plays the 2, the 5 will play the 4. They're going to play either the Bucks or the Rams or the Cowboys, and I think they're going to get smoked. I don't know, like, if Kyler isn't Kyler, what are they? Is Hopkins really this important to the team? Maybe. And Connor. And Budda Baker continues to be awesome. I still like their defense. They only gave up 22. Unfortunately, they couldn't turn Wentz over. And then you look at the Colts and you're like, all they do is keep winning. And you look at their division. Titans are 10-5. Colts are 9-6. Titans play Dolphins, Texans. So the Titans probably aren't going to lose unless they lose at home to the Dolphins. And the Colts play the Raiders and Jaguars. They probably also aren't going to lose. So the Colts only way, yeah. I mean, but does it matter if you're the Colts? Like they're such a stylistic team, and they can beat themselves with turnovers. But if not, can't they beat everyone here except for the Chiefs? Pretty much. Like the Chiefs will get the bye as of now. I mean, Titans, Bengals, Bills, Colts, Patriots, Ravens are bad. Chargers are kind of bad. We'll talk about that in a minute. Raiders, I don't believe in. Any of these teams can beat the other teams, right? It's kind of just a mishmash in the AFC. We knew that. And the Chiefs are coming out on top, and even they have a few flaws. So you look around and you're like, well, is anyone here good? I mean, the Patriots take a step back. We'll talk about that in a minute. The Bills looked great, but we know they are flawed. Bengals dropped $1 million against a backup team. The Titans, if they get Derrick Henry back, are they worthy of a 2 seed? Maybe. I just don't see anyone that's like unbeatable here. And now you used to think the NFC was unbeatable. Now you look back and you're like, well, the Packers almost lost to the Ravens with a backup and the Browns with Baker Mayfield, one-arm bandit. Cowboys have lost some puzzling games, but they're clicking. Rams, I don't even know what to do with because Stafford looked terrible. Bucks have nobody there. I mean, they still have Brady. Maybe they go on a run. Cardinals just keep losing. Niners lost to the Titans. That's an alarming one, and they should make the playoffs, but you never really know. We'll go over that. Eagles, I don't believe in. Saints, Vikings, Falcons. I mean, is anyone good? Is anyone good? I don't know. Let's talk about the Pats since they beat me up. I got to eat crow. But I would assume that if you prepare crow in an orderly manner, it tastes like most other birds. Who's to say? Josh Allen played great. You know what they finally did? This was legit. I never say this. I mean, Mac Jones looked poor in this game, obviously. And they still only lost by 12 because they ran the ball really well. But I still don't think Buffalo can stop the run. But the point here is, I think Belichick got outcoached. It's not that he coached poorly. It's that McDermott and Daboll really knew exactly what to do. And finally, Buffalo realized, well, we can't run the ball. We have no good running backs. Singletary does absolutely nothing. Moss does mostly nothing. They finally benched Matt Breida because they realized he peaked 5 years ago and it wasn't really a peak. Breida the cheetah, not so much. And you look at these guys and you're like, Isaiah McKenzie caught 11 balls for 125, but really it's just volume with Josh Allen. And he didn't play poorly and didn't turn it over. And so you have no choice. I still think Josh Allen can be inaccurate sometimes, but I'm not going to crap on him because he played an unbelievable game against a good defense on the road against Belichick. But this is the best game of his career, if you ask me. And they decided he had 47 throws and 12 runs. He had 59 plays. 59. The only runs that didn't include him, they had 16. So 59-16, Allen versus the rest of the team. And at this point, if you're Buffalo, this is what you need to do. You need to put all your eggs in the Josh Allen basket, whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not. It doesn't matter. This is the way you can win. Your defense is still good. The white loss is tough, but it doesn't show up against the Patriots who don't have a number one receiver. And this is all hindsight for me. I get it. But I see it. If you put all your eggs in his basket, that's going to work. I just wonder, can you do this same strategy a million times in a row in the playoffs? Because you're not going to have a bye. So you're going to have to go through all these other teams. Are there 4 games worth of Josh Allen touching it 60 times without having meltdowns and turnovers? He doesn't deserve me asking that question today, but I do wonder about it, and I probably don't believe they can win a Super Bowl doing this, but I do think it's their best opportunity to do so, better than handing it to Singletary or Moss. They need to pick up a running back in the offseason and fix their offensive line. But the Patriots didn't show up offensively, and that's it. That's all you can say. Mac hasn't looked good in a month or so. I still think he's a good quarterback, but he's hitting a little bit of a wall. We'll see if they can get it going. They're still running the ball well. They're going to play Jags and Dolphins, so they'll finish 11-6. And the Bills will play Falcons and Jets, and they'll finish 11-6. And who has the tiebreaker between the two of them? The Buffalo. Buffalo wins the tiebreaker over New England. So that's big. So New England really bumps down. They're not going to play at home, which is tough for the rookie. He's going to have to go on the road. As of now, he would be playing the Bengals. I think they could win. I still think they can win games. But yeah, I mean, credit to McDermott and credit to Brian Daboll for figuring this out, for putting all the eggs in the basket, whether they like it or not. And I think they're scared of it, but this is what they need to do. And there were moments in this game where things really turned. You punt right away. You go 3 and out on the first one. Mac takes a sack. Not really his fault. Honestly, he was let down by his offensive line. I know his box score looks terrible, 14 for 32, 2 picks. He did not play well, obviously, but their offensive line did not protect against the Bills at all, which is worrisome if you're a Patriots fan. They ran it well, but pass protection was bad. So they go 3 and out. Then it's 7-0, and I know they scored right back, but it's 7-0, and you know that the Bills are going to get the ball again. So what ends up happening is you tie it, Mac throws a pick, ugly, and then before you know it, it's 17-7. You don't feel like you're getting killed, but then you have an opportunity at the end of the half to go score. They don't, so the Bills get it back, and then it's 20-7, and they can never close that 13-point gap. And then they played even from there pretty much in the second half. And that's it. You can't go 3 and out on the first drive, then allow a touchdown, then allow them to score last in the half, and allow them to score first in the next half. It's too much to come from behind if you're the Patriots. And I think that's a little bit of a tell on a lot of these teams. Playing with a lead, I mean, it's not rocket science to say playing with a lead is really good. But you look at a lot of these teams, the Chiefs can come from behind. The Bengals can come from behind. The Bills can come from behind because they're built around the pass either way. So whether they're ahead or behind, they're not going to run the ball. But everyone else struggles when behind. The Titans need to be able to run the ball. The Colts need to be able to run the ball. They can't be asking Wentz to throw it a million times. Same with the Patriots. The Ravens can't do much of anything, but their defense is too bad to play from behind and mount comebacks. Even though they try to do them, they generally lose when they do it. Chargers, same thing. Their defense isn't really enough. They are built to be explosive offensively, but if they're behind, it's going to be dicey if they keep giving up scores. All these teams don't matter as much. The Packers have continuously blown pretty big leads, so I don't know what to do with them. The Cowboys, they can play with a lead. Can they play from behind? Yes, for sure. The Rams, I'm not so sure about Stafford. We'll talk about him in a second. The Bucks, it's all about health with them. I mean, they can play from behind, but their secondary is bad, so you worry about it. The Cardinals should be able to play from behind. So there's only a handful of teams, and most of them are in the NFC, that can really close gaps. But the AFC doesn't really have that. It's just Chiefs and Bills. That, like, if you fall behind by 14, you're like, we're still in the game. If the other teams fall behind by 14, you're like, we are dead in the water. And I think the Patriots are on that list now. And when they go down 17-7, you're like, this is going to be hard. So maybe some of that has to be offensive game planning. I don't know. But it's something to think about when trying to figure out playoff bets. Maybe we do first quarter bets for some of these teams that you think can't play from behind, because if they don't get the lead, they're not going to win anyway. And if the odds are better there, it's something to think about. Let's go to, we talked Patriots. Let's talk Cowboys, because there's a real chance they're the best team in the NFL right now. I guess the Chiefs are still better because they beat them straight up, but the only puzzling thing about Dallas is why they lose these random games that they get killed in. This Bucs game was very close. No shame there. Both teams were healthy. They rip off a lot of wins in a row, including beating the Patriots and the Vikings. Couple of good wins. This loss to the Broncos, very puzzling. Crushed the Falcons. You're back on track. Loss to the Chiefs makes sense because they were super injured and it wasn't good. The loss on Thanksgiving was really rough. Really bad. So it's these two games. This Broncos loss where they just refused to score, and the Broncos shut them down completely with a good defense. And then the Raiders game where they lost by 3, but they should have lost by a lot more and had to come from behind, like we're talking about, but they're capable of doing. There's only been 2 games where they were lackluster all season. And that's better than most other teams. I mean, Chiefs have had more lackluster games than the Cowboys. Who hasn't? Who hasn't? The Titans definitely have. The Bengals have. They lost to the Jets. The Bills have. Colts have. Everybody. Especially you look at the NFC and you're like, the Packers lost a really puzzling one to the Saints early. They lose to the Chiefs with Jordan Love, and they lose to the Vikings. So you could say the Packers, the Cowboys, and Rams definitely have had some tough ones. They lost to the Niners. They lost to the Cardinals. They lost to the Titans here. That was bad. Rams are up there. They generally only lose to good teams. But that's not as puzzling. It's the weird ones that I'm concerned about. Because if that pops up at an ugly time, then what do you do? Like the Bucs losing to the Saints. It's like that's another weird one where just sometimes Brady just doesn't have it. And that's why I don't know what to do with Dallas. Because they win this game by 1 million. It's over immediately. By the way, I had to fade Michael Gallup in both my fantasy leagues to go to the finals. I'm in both the finals, and when I win the trophy, it's going to be put back there. Better believe that. And Gallup had like a 40-yard catch in the first half, and I'm losing my mind. But then they won by 50, and somehow he didn't catch the ball again. So that felt pretty good. And then Cooper Rush came in and scored immediately, which is hilarious. This Malik Turner guy had a big day in garbage time. But, wow. I mean, this was just over from the beginning. Heineke has just lost it completely. His career as a starting quarterback is probably over. Kyle Allen comes in, looks pretty good in garbage time. Gibson, they just stopped playing because what's the point? Their season is over, and they're in full rebuild. They don't even have a team name. They probably don't deserve one. But this Dallas defense looks really good again. Diggs gets another interception. They score a defensive touchdown. There's no real weakness. You finally saw Dak play really well, again, against like mostly a backup team between the injuries and the COVID. But yeah, the 10 for 15 on 3rd down, 1 for 1 on 4th down. Penalties, not that much. Only 4 penalties in this whole game. I guess the refs stopped really caring at some point, but didn't turn it over. This is what you want to see from Dallas. The only question is, are they going to be able to string together the non-nonsense, the double nonsense, the double sense? 2 negatives make a positive, so non-nonsense makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. There's nothing wrong with Dallas. It's just a matter of whether they just can't get focused mentally, and I think some of that is McCarthy. And I don't know how I'll pick that, because right now they would play the Eagles. Divisional game, they'll smash the Eagles. I don't think the Eagles are good. Or if they play the Saints or the Vikings or the Niners, they probably should win all those games. But is it going to shock anyone if the Niners come in and beat Dallas because they're more physical and Dallas just doesn't show up? I don't know. It's like they have this on-off switch. And I don't know if they're going to keep it on for 4 games. And I don't know if Mike McCarthy can... I mean, he already has a Super Bowl. I get it. But this team is just not flawed. It's just complete nonsense weirdness when they lose. So maybe we just throw those 2 teams. If they don't lose those 2 games, they're unbelievable. They would be 13-2 with losses against the Bucs and the Chiefs in a game where they were totally injured. And you'd be like, yeah, they're going to go to the Super Bowl. So as of now, I don't see... They seem to be the least flawed team in the league, at the very least. Maybe Green Bay, but their defense doesn't seem as good as Dallas's to me. Not when I watch. And offensively, the Cowboys have more weapons. Maybe the Packers have better ones, but the Cowboys have more weapons. They're deep. They're really good. It's just a matter of if they fall asleep at the wheel. I don't know. They would only have to play 1 road game as of now. They're not going to lose again, I don't think. Well, they play the Cardinals, so this is a huge game because they beat up on bad teams, too. You could look at it that way. Washington, Giants, Washington, Saints, Falcons, Vikings is a good win, but I'm talking about past couple months. Past 2 months, they've only beaten bad teams pretty much. Is that why we think they're good? Or are they good? I'm just talking about specific flaws that I can find. Secondary's good, front seven's good, special team seems fine. Quarterback is better than most, even though we don't know if we can trust him in the big game. We're going to find out. The coach, it's just the coach. And this is a huge game against the Cardinals. And I wonder what the spread is going to be. They're at home. They should be more than a 3-point favorite, if you ask me. I think it should be 3.5, but I don't know if it will be. They'll probably stick it at 3. Let's see what it is. Dallas. 5.5. Woo! Whoa. All right, so Vegas is buying into what I'm saying. 5.5. Wow. That screams Arizona tease to me. This is the test, though. This is it. Like, if they come out and crush Arizona, who admittedly has their own problems, if Dallas can do that, then they'll beat the Eagles. They'll only have 4 losses. They'll get the 2 seed. Because the Packers are probably going to lock it up, right? Because they have Vikings and Lions. So they'll get the 2 seed. The only game they would have to play on the road is going into Lambeau, which, you know, who knows what happens there. And I think Dallas can score on that Packers D. And it's, I'm not going to say it's paved for them, but they would at least get a home game against Tampa or the Rams. And that's pretty good. So that game against Arizona is key because Arizona, at this point, they're focused on getting healthy and righting the ship and just figuring things out. But it's going to be hard for them to go on the road and get the win. I'm starting to talk myself into why the spread is bigger than 3, I guess. But they don't need the game as much. It sounds weird because they're in a tailspin, but motivation for the Cowboys, well, actually, I don't know. The question is, do you want to get healthy? Do you sit Zeke in any of these games? I don't think you can. Because you don't want to go down to the 4 seed. And actually, if you lose to Arizona, you would go down to the 5 seed probably if all these other teams win. I don't know if you want that, because then you're going on the road constantly. So I don't think they can rest anybody, which is rough. Maybe. I mean, who knows? Maybe they keep momentum and it goes well, but that game's huge. I guess we'll talk about it more on Friday. But Dallas, you got to look out for. Because you try to figure it out, and you're like, well, what's the problem with them? Well, kind of nothing. Falcons, Lions, who cares? I mean, the Lions covered. We knew they would. The Falcons either win games by a field goal or get absolutely blown out. Lions threw a pick with the game on the line. The Falcons tried to blow it. And I'm not worried about either of these. Although the Falcons are 7-8. What are we doing? What is this? I think I had them under 7 wins for the season. I might push it. Who do they play? The line was definitely 7. They play the Bills and the Saints. Please lose. Please lose both those games. So I at least push. How are they 7-8? They're awful. They're legitimately awful. They beat the Giants, Jets, Dolphins, Saints, Jaguars, Panthers, Lions. And they have 7 wins. God, what an easy schedule. It's so stupid. The fact that this team is this bad and won't get a top draft pick is horrible for them. At least it's not a high quarterback draft, but jeez. 7? Why do they have 7 wins? God. And the Lions have 2 wins, and I think it's arguable that the Lions are a better team. I know they just lost to them head-to-head. They're probably not a better team. But if you have Goff, you might win this game, honestly. Can't believe I'm actually going into the box score. Boyle, who's Jack Fox? Yeah, I mean, jeez. Cordero Patterson actually didn't do a lot. It seems like they're just saving him for next year at this point, which is rough for fantasy people. And I do have him in my finals. Not excited about it. But either way, Falcons having 7 wins is one of the weirdest things to come out of this season in a very weird season. Ravens, Bengals, again, I mean, Burrow was unbelievable. He threw for 525 yards. I think it was like top 5 yardage games ever. Mixon was great too. T. Higgins, 12 catches, 194 and 2 touchdowns. Chase, they were throwing deep late. This felt like a middle finger game to the Ravens. This one, they're up 13 in the 4th quarter. and they're still throwing. And even here, I think they threw deep. Yeah. 20 yard. Oh, it was 3rd and 18. This is the one. 2nd and 20. 32 yards. And they overturned it, but he's throwing deep in the 4th quarter when they're up by 20 with 5 minutes left. This felt like we're going to get right against this team that has no defense, no quarterback. I can't believe the spread was 7. I had him in all my bets. It hit. Really, really, really weird. The Ravens are not going to make the playoffs because I don't think they're going to win another game, if I'm being honest. They play the Rams and the Steelers. I don't think they're going to beat either of those teams. Maybe Lamar comes back. Maybe they beat the Steelers. If they have if they go 9-8, is that going to make it? Well, so it's just the 7 seed up for grabs. So it's between the Ravens, the Chargers, and the Raiders. Steelers are probably screwed because of that tie. And Steelers play Browns and Ravens. I don't think they're going to win both those games. I don't think Big Ben can do anything. Although if they win out, and the Dolphins can still do it too. Dolphins play Saints tonight, Titans, Patriots, but they're not going to beat the Patriots. Steelers. Then the Raiders play Colts and Chargers. I don't know what to do with the Raiders. The Raiders are the same as the Falcons. It's like, this team has 8 wins. What is this? Derek Carr every week is like on the verge of getting benched, and then you look and he has 4,300 passing yards, and you're like, what do I make of this team? I know they got issues. It's not their fault. I'm not going to really blame them, but what? They might make the playoffs? And the Chargers just look bad a lot. They lose to a Texans. I mean, we'll talk about that in a second. They have the Broncos and the Raiders. I don't know if I believe in them. It's like, who cares who gets this last spot? They're going to get sacrificed probably. Although they might play the Titans without Derrick Henry. So it's like, I don't know what to do in the AFC. I keep saying none of these teams are good. Anyone can beat anybody. It's very weird, but I think Baltimore is right now worse than the Chargers and probably worse than the Raiders, because I just don't know what they do. They can't stop a soul. Their defense is hurt and not coming back probably. Maybe they will, but maybe not. Lamar doesn't play. Huntley's on the COVID list. You couldn't have thought Josh Johnson was going to do much. Former Jet, by the way. Threw for 300 yards for the Jets. Weird. Yeah. I don't know, man. Bengals looked really good, though. Burrow is a problem. Like, Burrow's a good matchup. If you can't stop him, then they're going to be good. Can their defense hold up against better teams? I don't know. Who do they play? Chiefs-Browns. These are prove-it games. I mean, Bengals-Chiefs is a good one. Bengals home for the Chiefs. That spread should be Chiefs minus... Chiefs will still be favored, but it can't be by much. 3? Four and a half right now. Yeah. Kansas City, I mean, that's going to be a lot of people taking Kansas City money line. But if you believe in Cincinnati, you could probably tease them up to 10 and feel pretty good about it. Maybe that line goes up too. I mean, not that you take anything on a Monday with the way COVID is going, but something to think about. Rams, Vikings. Look, I took the Rams. I believed they would beat the Vikings because Kirk Cousins is bad, and he was bad in this game. Don't let the 27 for 38 fool you. They were down, and he was completing short passes. They didn't have Cook. Jefferson actually did really well against Ramsey, all things considered, and Kupp did really pretty well, even though he had a slow start. And Beckham gets the touchdown. But, man, what I took out of this game is Cousins is bad. I knew that. Stafford looked really bad. 3 picks. He has been so inconsistent that this is almost like... I don't want to say it's like Dak, because most of the time Dak is good, but sometimes he has these bad games where you're like, what happened there? Dak is more like Brady, where it's like some of the throws just aren't there and that can blow the game. Stafford is probably, at this point, more like Kyler, where it's like, I don't think he's going to come through with the big game at this point in the season. Maybe he's just banged up, and he's just, I don't know. His game log... He looked pretty uninspiring against Seattle. Completion percentage was there, but he even turned it over against them. They only won by 10 against the Seattle team that lost to the Bears this week, which is tough. I thought Seattle would win. He looked good in that Arizona game. This is the one that made you go, oh, maybe he's fine. And he looked good in the Jacksonville game, but that's Jacksonville. Green Bay game, inefficient, did turn it over. San Francisco, he didn't look good. Tennessee, he didn't look good. So this is a bad... I'm sorry. This is a... In the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's say 8 games. 2 of which against Jacksonville and Houston. So let's throw them out. Let's say 6 games. It's bad, bad, average, good, average, bad. And you're like, that's not exactly what we want from a team that thought we upgraded massively at quarterback and can now win the Super Bowl. I don't think that was the goal. So what do you do with them? Is Sony Michel really going to carry you every week? Because he did this week. That is why they won. He ran it really well. Darrell Henderson is now a bench player, or he's not healthy. I don't know. But Michel looks like the guy there. But that can't be what you're excited about, right? I get that their defense is still good, although they let up 23 to a Vikings team that has Kirk Cousins basically trying to turn it over at this point. He fumbled 3 times. Their defense is really good. Like, it's still not a team I want to play because when Stafford is right, he's really right. But when he's bad, he's just... I don't see it. I don't see it from them. And they're going to have to play a pretty good team. And as of now, they would play the Niners, and that doesn't go that well for them historically. So I don't know if the Rams can beat these upper echelon teams. Because I think Stafford is not the better quarterback against Green Bay, Dallas, or Tampa. And if he's not the better quarterback in your game, you're definitely screwed. Because I don't think they have as good a running game as any of those teams either. And now you're just kind of talking about a team that's more like, what are they like? A good defense without a great, with one good receiver, and without a great running game. And what else? Who else is like that has a really good defense and one good receiver? I guess nobody. Well, maybe like the Bills, kind of. But the Bills have a more dynamic offense than the Rams. So, yeah, I have questions about both those teams for the same reason. It's like, is the quarterback going to have 4 good games in a row, even if the defense does? I don't really know. They both can win because the defense is so good. And they do both have a star player, skill player, but they don't have too many star skill players. And one bad game from this quarterback, I think their stock went down with this win, is all I'm saying. And now they play Ravens-Niners. This Niners game will be very telling. You're home against the Niners. You should probably win. This week, I mean, the Ravens are so banged up that this is going to be another one where they like come away with a 7-point win. And you go, oh yeah, they're still good. They're 12-4. Meanwhile, they beat the Ravens by 7 and almost lost a couple times, probably. I think that's what it's going to be like. I would imagine they're -5 against the Ravens on the road. Something like that. 3.5. Man, I like the Rams at that number. As I'm talking about how bad they are, but they're playing a terrible team. I think the Vikings are better than Baltimore right now. So that's weird. But yeah, I just have questions, and I don't think the Vikings can make the playoffs because they play Packers and Bears. They're going to lose to the Packers badly. They're at Green Bay on Sunday night. That's a Green Bay game if I've ever heard of one. That spread should be 6.5. I don't know if they'll put it to 7. Maybe they will. Green Bay. 7. They did make it 7. It's a teaser game. Get ready for it, folks. That'll be on the Friday show. But who knows with COVID? I mean, you never really know. But that sure feels like a teaser game. And in fact, I wonder if the spread will go up because people are going to be doing that. We'll see. Bills, Pats, we talked about. Jags, Jets, awful game, awful game, awful game, awful game, awful game, awful game. And Zach Wilson had a cool run. I can't believe... awful game. Jaguars are going to have the number 1 pick. Jets had an opportunity to. They're going to have 4 wins now. What? Why? Jets are going to have 2 picks. Theirs and the Seahawks. It looked like they were going to both be top 5, and they might miss out on the top defensive players. It kills me. You're going to let this Jacksonville team get that Michigan kid, and they're going to be terrifying when they have him and Josh Allen on the defensive line and Trevor Lawrence figures it out. I don't think this is that bad a job to take if you're a coach or a GM or something. Like, they're really bad. I get it. They looked really, really bad. But they lost James Robinson, and it's like, of course, they're the Jaguars. I get it. They're on the road. Wilson looked bad again. I don't know what to do with the Jets. It's an awful game. Let's not. Giants-Eagles, another awful one. I still don't buy the Eagles. Miles Sanders breaks his hand. He's out. Mike Glennon has a long neck. He's out. Jake Fromm is from State Farm. He's out. I mean, out in terms of, like, I'm not interested. Saquon Barkley continues to get the ball for my fantasy team and do nothing with it. I'm very upset about it. Traded for him at the deadline. Did not go well. Darius Toney came back. Cool. Great. Thanks. They won't win another game. They play at Bears and against Washington. I mean, who knows? Who cares what those spreads are? Giants at Bears. The spread should be a pick 'em because who gives a shit? But in reality, it'll be Bears -3. Maybe 4. Maybe 5. I don't know. Chicago 6? Yikes. I mean, the Giants just can't do anything. They have to clean house, fire everyone. GM, coach, everybody. Get them all out of there. I mean, maybe it's not Joe Judge's fault, but get them all out. Get Barkley out. Get them all out. Blow it up. New York football, ladies and gentlemen. Bucks, Panthers. I don't need to go that far for this one. I didn't have the guts to take the Bucks as a double-digit favorite when they had nobody, but guess what I should have done? Fade Carolina. Are you kidding me, Matt Rule? You put Sam Darnold back in. Oh, my God. That's how bad Cam Newton is, that they had to go back to Sam Darnold. And they played them both. And they threw it 45 times. I don't care that you're getting blown out. Run the clock and go home. Jeez, that's bad. God. This means nothing to me. The Bucks will win out, like we said, whether they have anyone or not. They play the Jets. That should be a... At the Jets, they should be a... I don't know, 14? It should be very high. I don't care if they have any players or not. He's not going to lose to them. Why can't I find this stupid thing? Tampa. 13.5. I'm right. Wow, I thought I was going high on that one, to be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, yikes. Yikes. But the Bucks will be fine if they can get healthy. They're not going to get Godwin back. They should get Evans back. They have Brown back. He got every target like we said he would. They still have Gronk. They rarely used him in this game because they barely needed to, so he hit the bench. Keyshawn Vaughn plays a lot. Ronald Jones continues to be uninspiring. They'll get Fournette back eventually. So if you go into the playoffs, the Bucks are still very good. I think they're going to miss Godwin, though. I think that hurts them. And their secondary still stinks, and it just didn't show in this game. They're going to be so trendy because they're going to rip off 1 million wins in a row going in. And then... Yeah, because aside from the Saints loss where they lost everyone, and that is a puzzling one, they would have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 8 wins to close the year. And then they're going to go in and play... they're not going to lose... So they're going to play somebody in this 2 to... Or not 2. They could be the 2. They're going to play someone in the 3 to 7 range. Whether it doesn't even matter who it is. I don't think Dallas is a great matchup for them at all. But they can probably move the ball on them, I guess. I think Dallas is not a good matchup for Tampa. But I think Tampa can beat the Rams. I think they beat the Cardinals. I think they beat the Niners. I think they beat the Eagles. Because none of those teams can beat them deep, really. Unless Cooper Kupp just destroys them. But we'll see what happens as time goes on. They need to get healthier, but Panthers are auto-fade. I don't know. If anyone took the Panthers, you're a psychopath. They've been an auto-fade for a long time. They, again, talk about a team that needs to blow it up. I mean, Matt Rule will stay, but they need everything different. Maybe, I mean, Christian McCaffrey can't stay on the field for even half a season. Do you trade him? Can you? Can you get anything for him? Because you're not close to winning, and you need a new quarterback, and I don't understand what you do if you're them. So, there's that. Chargers, I mean, what... This is inexcusable. I don't want to hear that they didn't have Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, or Derwin James. All of it is very true. But, and I don't think they had Bosa either. I get it. I do get it. But you still had your quarterback. You had Justin Jackson, who ran it really well. You had Keenan Allen, who didn't do a single thing. You have some speedy guys. You have Jared Cook over the middle. You have Palmer. You can't lose. I mean, I like Davis Mills. I've been saying it. I said to take the Texans plus the points. And I didn't have the guts to tease them up, and I should have. They won by a lot. This game was never even that close, really, I felt like. I mean, it was close score-wise sometimes, but Texans just looked better. Davis Mills is pretty good. He looked better than Herbert in this game flat out. And you know what? Houston had 20-plus people on the COVID list. So if you're using that as an excuse for the Chargers, it doesn't really fly. You can't ever let Rex Burkhead run for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns on you. I've been saying all year the Chargers can't stop the run. They proved it in this one. They sure did. Nico Collins touchdown. Chris Conley touchdown. Dude, the Chargers are not a believable team. They play the Broncos. I won't be shocked if they lose. What's the spread going to be in that one? Chargers minus... I don't even know. Well, who knows who the quarterback is? If it's Drew Lock, it should be 4. But I don't like that. I wouldn't take it. It's 6? No way, dude. No way. No way. I can't buy this team. I'm sorry. I like them, too. I like Herbert. He's my fantasy quarterback. Eckler means a lot to them. I get it. All those guys are some of their best players. But Houston is horrible. That's the same as what the Bucs had to do. Go into the Panthers and whoop them. That's what the Chargers had to do. Even if you don't have the players, you have to go in there and whoop them. They got whooped. That is alarming. If they go to the playoffs, I can't be buying that. I can't. That's an ugly L. Seahawks lose to the Bears. I mean, once again, pour one out for Russell Wilson. Jesus. Their defense didn't show up. I thought their defense was better. Rashad Penny looks good. Wilson didn't turn it over. 16 for 27. Didn't have a lot of yards. They couldn't connect on the deep ones, really. I think he looks fine. I really don't think it's him. He still might not be fully healthy with the hand, but I don't think he's that bad. DK just hasn't done very much this year. 2 for 41. Lockett didn't have the big... They just missed the big plays. They didn't have the big one to Lockett. But you can't lose to the Bears at home. I mean, Russell Wilson is so out the door, it's ridiculous. And they play nobody. They have the Lions, and then they finish with the Cardinals. But they have the Lions to close out the fantasy week. So one more time for me, Russ. Get a good one out the door. Give the Seahawks fans what they want at home. And what is the spread going to be in that? The Seahawks were a touchdown favorite. They lose outright on a 2-point conversion. It's hard with these 2-point conversions at the end of games now for teams that don't care if they win or lose. But Nick Foles just won a football game in 2021 on the road against Russell Wilson. Jeez. We took an L on that one. I posted on Twitter that either you take Bears money line or you take Seattle against the spread, because that spread was so weird that either it's totally wrong and the Bears are going to win, correct, or the Seahawks will blow them out, and they just couldn't. Bears couldn't move the ball on the ground. 7.1 to 2.9. And this is just puzzling how they lose this game. It's very bizarre. They didn't score in the fourth quarter. That's just bad. I think Pete Carroll needs to be fired. I think they need to trade Russell Wilson for whatever they can get some draft capital back, blow this thing up, blow it up. Trade Metcalf if you have to. Like, do anything. You have to start over. It's so bad how far they've fallen. But the Jets have their pick, so go Lions. I don't know. Are they going to make them a touchdown favorite again? Are they really going to do that? Yeah. 7.5 against Detroit at home. They refuse to learn the lesson. They want idiots like me teasing Seattle down to money line, and I might do it because I believe so much in Russell Wilson. Eee. It's kind of like a Herbert situation where I'm like, yeah, he's good, but the rest of the team I just don't know about. It's tough. Steelers, Chiefs. Steelers are terrible. I said it. Lay the points with the Chiefs. Do whatever you got to do. I don't care if they have Hill. I don't care if they have Kelsey. You can't take Big Ben on the road. He looked awful. Blowout. We move on. Broncos, Raiders. You don't take Drew Lock. That's the end of the story. You just find teams that you can cross off the list at this time of the year, and Drew Lock is on the cross-off list. He's on the naughty list. The Christmas jokes don't fly anymore. And we talked about every game. That's it. Dolphins, Saints. Dolphins, Saints. Look, I can't take Ian Book, so that's the end of it. And that's all we need to say. Both these defenses are good. They really are. I think it'll be a struggle to score. I have a pick. Before we get to that, I'm trying to find an interesting take that I thought about to close out this show. And I want to look at the standings. I mean, it's an interesting take enough to say that Dallas might be the best team in the NFL, I suppose. But if you want a spicier one, I think the Dolphins might still make the playoffs. They might be that 7 seed. And I think if Derrick Henry comes back, if the Dolphins win tonight, I still believe in Tua a little bit when he has Waddle. When he doesn't have Waddle, it looks bad. When he has Waddle, there's a world where the Dolphins get up to the 7 seed by winning out. Henry doesn't come back. Dolphins compete in Tennessee, maybe pull out a win somehow. It's unlikely, but it's possible. And then we're looking at Bengals. I mean, they get blown out in the second game, so where am I really going with this? Nowhere. I definitely think the Rams are going to struggle to win a playoff game. And if I had to guess at this point, I guess I think Dallas can beat Green Bay. I believe in Rodgers, but man, I don't know, the McCarthy Bowl. Actually, McCarthy probably just gets outcoached in Green Bay, and it'll be hilarious, right? I don't know what to do here. I'm trying to find something interesting that happens, and it's just hard to figure out, especially with COVID. The question really becomes who can beat the Chiefs, if anybody. Maybe it's the Bengals. The Bengals don't seem flawed. I know they lost to the Jets, but the Bengals are kind of like the Cowboys. Like, what's the problem with the Bengals? Their defense is pretty frisky. Like, it's not great. It's not as good as the Cowboys. But Burrow is totally good. There's nothing wrong with him. They have 1 million receivers. They have a good running game when Mixon is healthy, which he is. They have Chase stretching the field. They have Higgins and Boyd. Uzoma's pretty good. Mixon can catch the ball out of the backfield. P. Ryan's fine as a backup. What don't they have? What don't they have? And they play the Chiefs this week. So this is the game to look at for me. Because if they can compete with the Chiefs and prove that they can at least hang with them, if not beat them at home, if you win this game against the Chiefs and you show that you can beat them, can the Bengals not go to the Super Bowl? Why can't they beat everybody here? If they beat the Chiefs once, they would prove that they can do it. I don't think it's a good matchup. I don't think they deserve to be favored. But still, they can beat the Titans. They can beat the Bills. They can beat the Colts. They can beat the Patriots. And whoever the hell, I've just made a case for the Dolphins. I mean, they definitely can beat them. By the way, how come sometimes the Arizona cans have gold tops and sometimes they have silver tops? There's your hot take for the day. That's what you take away from this show. And that's what you think about. Still good, though. Let's get to the picks. Monday picks. Pretty good. We had a very good week. We made money on football. Stupid Patriots screwed us from getting a little bit of a sweep. And we're okay with it. And I said this earlier in the week. I said it on Friday. I like the 6. I'm making it a 6.5 point teaser. You could do 6, but I like buying the hook. I'm taking the Dolphins plus 3.5. If Ian Book beats me, God bless America. And I'm teasing that same game teaser, Dolphins plus 3.5, and teasing the under up to 44. I can't imagine these teams are going to score a lot of touchdowns against one another unless something weird stuff happens. Plus 3.5 Dolphins, under 44. I get that at minus 120 because I'm buying the half a point. If you want to take it at plus 3 and under 43.5, go for it. I also am sneaking in an NBA parlay. Yes, I still love basketball, and it's really a shame that I haven't gotten to talk about it more. Maybe Wednesday, if we're able to do the show. The schedule is always changing. But I'm taking 3-team NBA parlay. Hornets money line against the Rockets. Celtics money line against the T-Wolves. Suns money line against the Grizzlies. That scares me a little bit, but the Suns are healthy. Grizzlies on a back-to-back. And that gives you roughly like plus 120, 130 odds. Something like that. So pretty good. So those are the picks on a Monday. We will be back Wednesday. We'll recap the Monday game a little bit, and we'll look forward to the Thursday game. As always, the Wednesdays have become basketball sandwiches where we recap, we preview, and then we hit hoops in the middle unless there's some kind of other cool story that we can talk about. I'll figure it out. Check at Mike Mush Sports on the Twitter to learn more and hear me rant about these games as they're going on. Like and subscribe on the YouTube if you don't mind. That would be great. Leave a comment. Join the chat. Let's talk it out. We'll see you Wednesday. Peace out.